The 2000s are often remembered as the greatest era of gaming. Even as the years pass, many older gamers find themselves going back, revisiting a time when games were simpler, yet rich in story. They felt like video games, not a billion-dollar investment developed over 10 years. And it's not just older players either. Newer generations are discovering this era for the first time, drawn to its culture, its aesthetic, and its straightforward design. To them, it feels like a breath of fresh air. How do I know? Because I was there. I lived through it. This is what many people call the golden age of gaming. So how did this legendary era begin? Well, it started the moment you walked into a store. Glass cases were filled with games from each console, and the stores themselves actually tried to feel exciting, like stepping into another world. Around every corner were demo kiosks featuring what would become the big three. Sorry Dreamcast, you're gone, but not forgotten. You'd try upcoming games while friends or family finished shopping. The controller was always sticky and gross, and your neck would hurt from looking up at the screen for so long. But none of that mattered. That was part of the magic. Then came the car ride home. You study the back of the game case. Sometimes you'd even open it early just to read the manual, flipping through colorful pages, explaining mechanics and characters. By the time you got home, you already knew the controls and couldn't wait to start. And the experience didn't stop there. For many of us, we had a good best friend back then. Wow, what a difference. Games weren't cheap, and rentals gave us the freedom to experiment. Genres we might never have tried otherwise suddenly became possible. Something that honestly feels really rare today. The smell of popcorn, the candy, the movie posters. It all just added to the experience while you were renting. Plus, you would look at all the movie posters, and while you pick out your video game, your parents would also pick up a few family movies to watch together. I mean, that was some great times. Then there were magazines like Game Informer. Before the internet became what it is now, you'd actually read interviews, previews, and developer insights. It made you care. And when you got stuck, cheat codes. Does anybody ever remember Cheat Planet? You would go online and they would categorize every video game available possible for almost every generation at the time, and you would find exactly what you're looking for. The consoles themselves were just as important. Each had a unique identity, a personality. They had something that modern consoles often lack, a soul. And I know that's a little extra to say, but you get where I'm coming from. The PlayStation 2 embraced a Y2K aesthetic. Its moody startup felt like a dream sequence straight out of the Matrix. Ambitious storytelling and cinematic experiences that still felt like games. Titles like Metal Gear Solid 3, Silent Hill 2, and Kingdom Hearts pushed narrative boundaries without losing gameplay at their core. And it doubled as a DVD player. Futuristic technology at the time, making it an easy choice for many households. Then came Microsoft's first console, the Xbox, the new kid in the block. The Xbox felt like it crash landed from the future, with its heavy black casing, the green glowing jewel, the ominous menus. Heck, sometimes I leave the Xbox running just to hear like that creepy, ominous, like audio chatter that the menu would have, and just have the fan blowing. You get where I'm coming from? Those were some vibes. With its powerful hardware, it delivered games like Halo, Fable, KOTOR, and introduced Xbox Live, completely changing how people played together. It blended Y2K futurism. Even the controller made a statement. The Duke was massive, later refined into the S model, but both remained iconic. And then how can I forget the underappreciated GameCube? With its playful startup sounds, compact designs, a handle that made it very portable before portable consoles were even common. Nintendo once again bridged the gap between home and handheld by letting players connect their Game Boy Advance. You would do that by having an accessory that you would slot in the bottom of your GameCube, and then you would put a disc in it that would read the games. Finding these are kind of expensive now, but if you were lucky to have one, you had a blast. Unfortunately, I was never able to get one, but I did see other people having them, and I wish I could have been playing Legacy of Goku or Pokemon on the big screen. With its bold launching title Luigi's Mansion, delivering Smash Melee, and even securing Resident Evil 4 as a timed exclusive, Nintendo took risk. The GameCube remains one of the most beloved designs ever, a clear evolution of the N64's ideas, refined for comfort and precision. I mean, when you take out the Wii, you can plug in the GameCube controller, and now with the Switch, you can also still utilize the GameCube controller. It's just that good. Each console offered something completely different, but no matter which one you picked, you knew you were going to get some great games. Now, growing up in this era, graphics improved over time, but they were really never the main factor. Have you noticed how many modern games age poorly, while the early 2000s games still feel rather charming? That's because of art direction. Hardware limitations force creativity. Developers lean into bold colors, stylized designs, and memorable soundtracks. Games didn't aim for realism all the time. They aimed to be something more. Halo Combat Evolved is the perfect example. Even with the remaster, the original art direction still holds up. That magic from looking up in the Halo ring will never be matched. But of course, the most important thing was that gameplay always came first. There were no day one patches, no unfinished launches, and no endless DLC plans. Games shipped complete. And also, players didn't stick with one title forever. We played everything from platformers to shooters, RPGs, party games, and even sport games. The limitations encourage experimentation from developers and players alike. And with that sense of discovery, it just makes this era even more special. Now, things were advancing quickly in this era as Xbox Live was making a statement, and you knew in future generations that basically this was going to be how games were going to be played later on. But before the party chats and the online lobby, gaming was shared physically, on the couch, on the same TV. Growing up, I had an Xbox and my other cousins had a PS2 and a GameCube, and we would just visit each other's houses and play the best of, I guess, 3 worlds. We would hop on Dragon Ball Z Budokai 2 on the PS2 because at the time, most of the Dragon Ball games were just PlayStation exclusives. And once we got tired of that, we would just jump to the GameCube and play Mario Kart Double Dash, which still to this day is one of the greatest Mario Kart games ever to come out. I'm very surprised that they actually never brought that concept again. And then once we were all done with that, we would connect all the controllers on the Xbox and play Halo 2 on split screen. So after all these years, why do people keep revisiting the 2000s eras of gaming? Well, it's very simple. Games were games. They weren't trying to replicate the next blockbuster movie. While it is nice to see all those beautiful cinematics, sometimes the gameplay gets lost into that. The consoles had identities, the games had purpose, and the limitations pushed creativity instead of realism. The 2000s weren't just a golden age of gaming. They were a reminder of why we fell in love with games in the first place.